The Korea Food and Drug Administration had been warned long before that food imported from China could contain melamine. Talks with the U.S. have been concluded to include Korea into the U.S. visa waiver program. The average tax burden per capita next year is expected to rise to a little more than $4,000. Hello and welcome to KBS World News. Today is Friday, the 26th of September. KBS News has found that the Korea Food and Drug Administration had been warned long before that food imported from China could contain melamine. The Korean embassy in Beijing sent 3 warnings last year, but they were all ignored.
The Korean embassy in China in May last year sent a message to the Korea Food and Drug Administration. The embassy asked for an investigation into whether Chinese food products containing melamine made their way into Korea. A large number of animals in the U.S. had died after eating Chinese feed containing the hazardous substance. Chinese authorities announced a week after that no melamine was found in food products such as powdered milk. But the Korean embassy sent a second message urging close watch over food imported from China, saying melamine had been used. Chinese officials denied that food products for export contain melamine, yet the embassy sent a third warning. But the Korea Food and Drug Administration did nothing despite the 3 warnings.
중국에서 검사한 결과서를 보면은 멜라민 다른 제품에서는 검출이 되지 않았기 때문에 검사를 하지 않았습니다.
The Yi administration in Korea could come under fire for failure to heed the embassy's warnings.
Talks with the U.S. have been concluded to include Korea into the U.S. visa waiver program. Starting in mid-January, Koreans traveling to the U.S. for less than 90 days will no longer need an entry visa.
Korean and U.S. officials have concluded talks on sharing the criminal records of travelers. This agreement has cleared the way for Koreans' inclusion into the U.S. visa waiver program. Background checks will be done only on the travelers suspected of criminal activity or those convicted of felonies. Korean Foreign Minister Yoo Myung-hwan says the new rule only determines if the traveler has a criminal record. He says no detailed descriptions of crime or personal information will be disclosed.
대부분의 일반 여행자는 해당되지 않습니다. 또한 특정 범죄 경력이 있느냐 하는 것에 대해서 그렇다 아니다 이런 yes와 no 방식으로 확인하는 것이지.
Under the principle of reciprocity, Americans will be subject to the same level of inspection in Korea. This rule is also applied to 27 nations that are included in the U.S. visa waiver program. Seoul expects the visa waiver to take effect in mid-January. The visa-free privilege is limited to short-term travelers staying in the U.S. for under 90 days and those with the electronic passports.
An international forum on sport, education, and culture has opened in Busan. The event, sponsored by the International Olympic Committee, is cementing Busan's status as an international sports hub.
Members of the International Olympic Committee and representatives of Olympic committees from more than 150 countries have gathered in Busan. They're here for the VI Forum on sport, education, and culture. The theme of this year's event is educating the now generation. Participants will make presentations and hold discussions Friday, and a Busan Declaration will be adopted Saturday.
This is going to be about the Youth Olympic Games. The Youth Olympic Games are going to take place in Singapore in 2 years' time.
4 candidate cities vying for the 2016 Summer Olympics have dispatched large bid delegations to the forum. Busan has hosted the 2002 Asian Games and part of the 2002 World Cup. This year's IV Forum, which runs concurrently with the World TRAX Games, will likely further boost the port city's status as a major sports venue.
세계사회체육대회를 또 IOC 포럼과 같이 연계해서 개최함으로써 또 시너지 효과도 높이고 양 행사의 어떤 동반적인 그런 어떤 성공 개최 요소가 되고 있다는 점을 말씀을 드립니다.
Participants of the forum will stay in Busan through Monday for talks.
The average tax burden per capita next year is expected to rise to a little more than $4,000, up $270 from this year. But next year's tax burden will account for a smaller part of gross domestic product.
The government next year intends to collect $156 billion in taxes. The average tax burden will rise from this year's $3,700 to $4,050 next year, a hike of 7.6%. Salaried workers will pay about $78 more in income tax. The tax burden ratio will slightly drop to 22%. The tax burden will rise because of the growth in the scale of the economy and the tax levying base. Global income and earned income taxes will rise the most, while corporate taxes will go up slightly. The integrated real estate tax is expected to fall at least 30% when the government's tax reform plan is settled. But this tax plan is based on the assumption that next year's economic growth will reach 5%.
국제금융시장의 불안이라든가 고유가 상황을 봤을 때 내년 우리 경제가 3%대로 떨어질 가능성이 있는 만큼 재정 계획을 짤 때 좀 더 보수적이고 신중하게 접근할 필요가 있습니다.
The government expects the economy to continuously expand and achieve growth of 6.8% by 2012. Tax revenues that year are expected to exceed $173 billion.
The Jeonju Sori Festival opens Friday, celebrating its 8th anniversary this year. The event will run for 9 days through October 4th under the theme Sharing Sori, Adding Pleasure. Sori is the Korean word for sound. The program includes performances by Korea's top 3 pansori singers and young performers. Foreign performances include Chinese acrobats, jazz queen Diane Reeves, and French musical Notre Dame de Paris. The National Railroad Corporation has introduced the nation's first train cars equipped with beds. This train will start running early next month exclusively for tourists.
A bright blue train leaves the platform. The tour train is named Haerang and has hotel-style accommodations. The National Rail Authority Korail will start running the train next month. Haerang's capacity is 54 passengers with 20 passenger quarters, including VIP and family rooms. Each quarter has a bed and TV, as well as a bathroom and shower stall.
아이하고 같이 자연스럽게 자유롭게 침대 위에서 놀고 부담 없이 좋은 것 같아요.
Events are held in the observation car, and meals and wine are served in the restaurant car.
열차의 그런 낭만, 여유와 또 호텔의 편리함을 겸비해가지고 열차 속에서도 밖을 충분히 관광을 하실 수 있고.
Tours offered on the train are a 3-day weekend package and 2-day beach course. The packages also offer tours to Korean landmarks to attract foreign travelers.
Very good way of experiencing Korea, and I'm sure foreigners will enjoy it.
But obstacles could keep travelers away. A 3-day tour costs more than $1,000 and passengers must board at Seoul Station.
Patients with damaged corneas have received artificial replacements to treat their condition. But the manufacturing of artificial retinas has proven difficult to scientists. Korean and German scientists have found how light is transmitted to the brain from the retina. This breakthrough can lead to a cure for eye disease by producing artificial retinas.
Light entering the eye is initially absorbed by the retina at the rear side of the eye. Light in the retina transforms into the visual signal and gets transmitted to the brain. The substance facilitating the signal's transmission is the protein called opsin. A team of Korean and German researchers have found that opsin is activated when it combines with G protein. They've explained the first stage of light transmission procedures.
다단계의 반응을 거쳐서 몇 가지 빛의 신호가 전달이 되는데 그 빛의 신호의 첫 번째 단계를 구조로 보여준 게
The finding will likely lead to better treatment and prevention of serious eye diseases such as Uguchi and Stargardt diseases. The discovery will also accelerate the production of the artificial eyeballs in the era of the advanced robotics. The researchers from Korea Jeonbuk National University and German Humboldt University have spent 4 years on joint research. Their thesis has been published in the international scientific journal Nature.
Trees and mountains are emerging as important natural resources. Scientists around the world are trying to develop tree breeds stronger against disease and pests. The Korean pine is considered one of the world's most resistant to disease.
Yellowish powdery spores have spread all over the tree trunk. The pine needles gradually turn red and die. This tree disease is called white pine blister rust. The disease easily spreads to surrounding trees. The only way to prevent it from spreading is burning down the infected tree. The disease is considered more serious in North America and Europe.
It usually affects the regeneration, so we can't get the forest regenerated because it affects young seedlings.
Korean and foreign studies show the Korean pine tree is the strongest against this disease. When injected with the germ, 22 to 66% of tested foreign pine trees got infected. But the rate was below 1% for Korean pines. Many scientists in North America and Europe are showing growing interest in adopting the genes of the Korean pine. Korean scientists say that when an excellent breed is developed, its genes can be exported worldwide to earn royalties. The Korea Forest Service says it'll develop and promote new pine breeds at pine tree gene banks in Gangwon and Gyeonggi provinces.
Kazakhstan has designated September 26 as Hongbomdo Day to honor the Korean admiral who had fought for Korean liberation from Japanese colonization. The designation also marked Hong's 140th birthday and the 71st anniversary of Korean migration to Central Asia.
The city of Kyzyl Orda has a population of about 200,000 and is located in the southern Kazakhstan. The city has a memorial park dedicated to a Korean admiral who contributed to the Korean independence in 1920 battle. Admiral Hongbomdo was nicknamed the Tiger of the Manchurian Plain. He was forced to move here in 1937 and lived out the rest of his life alone.
과거의 독립투사로서 이 삶이 아니라 노선극장 수위를 하게 됩니다.
The admiral's contributions to his motherland have been promoted in Korea by ethnic Koreans in Kazakhstan. The Korean government also supported the building of the memorial park in 1995. But 12 years have passed since his gravesite's renovation, and hardly anyone remembers him in Korea or Kazakhstan. The Kazakh government has honored the late admiral's contributions to Korean independence and dedicated a day to him, the first for the foreigner by the Central Asian Republic.
Ленин ему дал пистолет, где было написано «Hongbomdo от Ленина». Это была высшая награда.
The late admiral is receiving the spotlight abroad 70 years after his death.
Many families visit salt farms on weekends to try their hand at making salt. Here's an introduction to Korea's cleanest salt farm located on Jeong Island, South Jeolla Province.
Jeong Island is located within a 30-minute boat ride from Saok Island of Sinan County, South Jeolla Province. The island is blessed with a pristine natural environment and is also where Korea's cleanest salt is produced. Salt farmers do everything manually. Production begins with pushing water mills to transport seawater. Seawater is left to evaporate for 20 days before white salt appears on the surface of the rubber flooring. The salt is later raked using a wooden tool. Producing salt under the scorching sun is no easy task, but salt rakers seem unfazed. The production of natural salt is possible only when sunshine, wind and seawater are ideal. That's how human efforts and natural conditions are important to salt production. The white salt finally appears after hours of raking. Visitors can take 1 kilogram of salt each after producing it. Unique sculptures made of salt are a highlight at a salt museum. The museum was founded on the site of a 50-year-old salt warehouse. Visitors can learn everything about salt. Children say they found their visit to the museum educational. The most fun items for young visitors here are an ultra-large screen and a game all made from salt.
이 소금에 대해 가지고 전반적으로 대충 막연하게나마 알고 있던 그런 거를 좀 확실하게 알 수 있는 그런 계기가 되었고 알기 쉽게 잘 만들어 놓은 것 같습니다.
Jung Island is also home to another tourist attraction. The salt green herb called hamcho grows near the sea. Contrary to its rough looks, hamcho is rich in nutrients. The herb is relatively unknown in Korea, but Japan has designated it as a natural monument. Pancakes made of hamcho are a specialty of Jung Island. They're made from dry hamcho powder mixed with wheat flour.
미네랄이 많고요. 식이섬유가 풍부하니 많이 들어있는 식물이에요. 소화 기능이 좋고 변비가 있으신 분들이 특히나 좋아요.
Hamcho can also be enjoyed as a tea. Tea made from dried hamcho leaves tastes salty and sweet at once. This unique combination of contrasting tastes makes hamcho tea unforgettable. The tea also relieves constipation when consumed 2 or 3 times a day. Salt is a precious gift from nature. A weekend visit to one of the salt farms on Korea's western coast offers the discovery of salt's versatile uses.
Here are today's economic indicators and the weather. That's it for this edition of KBS World News Today. Have a nice weekend and thank you for watching.